Well, straight to the day's market action. It was a quiet day on the Lal Street, which saw consolidation as markets await inflation data. Now, the range-bound session saw Sensex as well as the Nifty and Nifty Bank end flat, but with a slight negative bias. But mid-caps fared slightly better. Prashant Nair is joining us now with all the day's trading action. Prashant, over to you.
Well, the market paused, consolidated for the bulk of the session, and towards the end slipped a little bit. Nothing large, small cuts, but not just the Nifty, the Bank Nifty and the mid-cap index also ending in the red. The small-cap index ended with a gain of about 0.4% or so. Market breadth also slipped. It was exactly almost 1:1, but declines outnumbered advances by the time we shut shop at 3:30. FMCG and PSU banks saw some pullbacks. Again, these were marginal moves. And what did well was metals, real estate and the IT services space. IT services stocks have been doing well over the last many sessions. Nifty gainers, large caps, Hindalco, there was Apollo Hospitals and Tata Motors which ended higher. On the losing side, you had names like Dr. Reddy's, ITC and Coal India. I have to say, although declines outnumbered advances, but the number of stocks which went up on huge volumes, I think it just completely dwarfs what was happening on the losing side. So it's a long list, but look at Naukri, that's Info Edge, look at LIC, Cochin Shipyard, some of them, of course, reacting to numbers, others not. Manappuram, Fortis went up almost, actually back above 300 rupee levels. Ircon, Dr. Lal Path Labs, Godfrey Phillips, Dredging Corporation, MedPlus sort of came off the day's high, but big gains there. Newland Laboratories has been having a fantastic week. KIMS, the hospital chain, Angel, Action Construction, Repco, and so on and so forth. As I said, it's a long list, but important to highlight the breadth of the move that we saw in the broader space. So a quiet consolidation type of session today. You'll hear from a lot of regional Fed presidents over the next couple of days. Actually, there are 14 Fed speaking engagements lined up this week. And why that is important is because markets will wait to hear from Fed officials about their interpretation of the market's reaction to the softer inflation data and the subsequent up move. So that's where we're at. A bit of a consolidation, slow kind of session, but we'll pick all of this right up when we come back tomorrow morning.
Well, here's one key trigger. The wholesale price index for October has softened to nearly 8.4%, breaking its 18-month double-digit streak. Core inflation has also significantly reduced to 4.6%, reporting the lowest figure in 22 months. The decline in inflation has been visible across most categories. Food and fuel inflation eased significantly month on month. Vegetables inflation saw a whopping drop to nearly 18% versus 40% compared to the month before. Well, Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikanta Das says that inflation remains a major concern and expects the October inflation print to be lower than 7%. Speaking at the Hindustan Times Leadership Summit, Das said that the Indian economy remains resilient, but warned that inflation above the 6% tolerance band for a prolonged period will be detrimental to India's growth. Das also defended the central bank's intervention on the rupee. He said that an umbrella needs to be used when it starts to rain.
We picked up these reserves only for this rainy day. And when it rains, I have said it earlier also, you have to pick up your umbrella and use it. We didn't pick up reserves just to keep it as a showpiece in the Reserve Bank of India. And even at this point of time, our reserves are very comfortable. So the first objective of our market intervention in the forex market is to ensure an orderly movement of the exchange rate. Second is to anchor market expectations. Our estimate is that India will this year grow by about 7%. The IMF has projected that India will grow by about 6.8% in the current year. And that puts India among the fastest growing major economies in the world. We have a major challenge with regard to inflation, but comparatively, if you see, our target, the upper ceiling is about 6%. The last inflation number which was released for September, the inflation was 7.4%. We expect the October number which will be released on Monday, we expect that to be lower than 7%. Any inflation above 6% is detrimental to growth. So therefore, 6% has been kept as the upper tolerance band. And the fact that we have a tolerance band, between 4 and 6%, that gives RBI enough policy space to use during times of stress.
Well, you can catch the entire show with the RBI Governor, Shaktikanta Das, at 6 p.m. right here on CNBC TV 18. We'll hear some international action now. U.S. President Joe Biden met his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in Bali on the sidelines of the G20 summit. This is the first time in-person meeting between the two leaders since Biden took office as the President of the United States in January of 2021. Biden started by saying that he was open to keeping lines of communication open, not only between the two leaders, but also between the two countries. He added that it was their responsibility to show that both nations could manage their differences and find ways to work together on urgent global issues that require their mutual cooperation. Meanwhile, Xi Jinping said that both countries needed to find the right direction for their bilateral relationship going forward and elevate this relationship.
History is the best textbook, so we should take history as a mirror and let it guide the future. Currently, the China-US relationship is in such a situation that we all care a lot about it, because this is not the fundamental interest of our two countries and peoples, and it is not what the international community expects us. The world expects that China and the United States will properly handle the relationship, and for our meeting, it has attracted the world's attention. So we need to work with all countries to bring more hope to world peace, greater confidence in global stability, and stronger impetus to common development. In our meeting today, I'm ready to have a candid, as we always did, have a candid and in-depth exchange of views with you on issues of strategic importance in China-US relations and on major global and regional issues.
President Biden and Xi Jinping's meeting is coming at a time when USA and China, they also have a very solid relationship in terms of strategic interest and in terms of economic interest as well. In the recent years, since the start of last President Donald Trump, when he actually started putting tariff and barriers on Chinese trade and Chinese goods, the bilateral relationship, the economic bilateral relationship of USA and China has not recovered from that era. On the top of it, we are now witnessing Taiwan crisis, where USA with its Western allies have assured all sort of help, including military help in case of any military conflict that happens in that state, to protect the democratic freedom and values, human rights values that this current Taiwan regime espouses. Chinese side, on the other hand, with President Xi Jinping having secured his third consecutive term, which is historic in Chinese history, has also said a remark in the recent times where he has said that China will not shy away from using all possible means and force to unify Taiwan, which has been a bone of contention ever since Chinese, like the modern China that we see PRC has came into existence. So this Chinese mainland and unification of Taiwan to that has been a dream project of past also of the various Chinese leaders, but this time around, when China has actually gained a lot of military heft, strategic heft and economic willpower also, will the Chinese side pursue their dream project of unification of Taiwan? So that has become a flashpoint between USA and China in the recent days.
Well, staying with action from Bali, Prime Minister Narendra Modi would also be in Bali. He would be meeting world leaders during his 3-day visit. The Foreign Secretary said that the Prime Minister would be participating in some key sessions. Parishit Luthra now joins us. Parishit, take us through what's on the agenda for the Prime Minister.
Well, this is a very important meeting for the Prime Minister, especially because India takes over the G20 presidency from the 1st of December. And on the last and final day, after the closing ceremony of the G20 in Bali, Indonesia is going to hand over the G20 presidency to India. So the Prime Minister is going to use this occasion, the next 2 days, to invite all world leaders personally to the G20 in India. And there are several key issues that the Prime Minister would be deliberating upon. He'll be participating in sessions on food and energy security, digital transformation and health as well. He will be a part of the G20 grouping, which will be going towards the mangrove forest. This is a visit that has been organized by President Joko Widodo. On the 16th, that is on the final day, he'll have at least 8 bilateral meetings, which includes meetings with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, with the President of France, with the President of Indonesia, Prime Minister of Spain, and there are several other meetings on the cards. A meeting with President Biden, President Xi Jinping, all of that is being worked out, and we will get to know the final agenda. But it's going to be a packed 24 hours for the Prime Minister there, and the big focus of the Prime Minister and of the G20 will be on global economic recovery after COVID-19, the uncertainty over energy because of the Ukraine-Russia war, and also minimizing the impact of all of this. Whether there will be a joint declaration also remains to be seen, because there is so much of difference between all the countries on the war in Ukraine.
Indeed, the Prime Minister, it seems, will have his hands full before taking on the baton for hosting the G20 summit next year right here in India. Let's move ahead now. Promoter of the winning consortium for Jet Airways, which is KalRock Capital, has been in the spotlight. This after reports of raids on entities linked to the promoter in 3 different countries emerged last week. KalRock Capital has confirmed about these investigations, but says that this will not impact the acquisition of Jet Airways. Madiha, in fact, is joining us with more. Madiha, tell us, what are these raids about, and what is the company stating on record?
Well, the news about raids on properties linked to KalRock Capital's promoter Florian Fritsch came out last week on the 10th of November. Now, KalRock Capital has confirmed that regulatory agencies in 3 countries, which are Liechtenstein, Switzerland and Austria, are investigating certain businesses where Florian Fritsch is a financial investor in his personal capacity. Remember, KalRock Capital is one of the partners in the Jalan-KalRock consortium that won the bid to revive Jet Airways. This news has added more uncertainty to the proposed relaunch of Jet Airways, which looks unlikely this year. Remember, the consortium is yet to make payments to lenders and employees of the erstwhile airline. Reports had suggested the raids are in connection with suspected fraud and money laundering. However, in the statement I received, Florian Fritsch says these investigations are commercial in nature and not criminal and won't have any impact on the acquisition of Jet Airways. He's also saying that neither KalRock Capital nor Jet Airways have any connection with the ongoing investigations.
Right, Madhya, thanks a lot for that. Now let's move ahead to a CNBC TV 18 exclusive interview. Chairman of Aditya Birla Group, Kumar Mangalam Birla, remains confident about the company's leadership in the cement business. Speaking to CNBC TV 18, Birla said that he doesn't expect any unnecessary disruption in the cement segment after Adani Group's Ambuja and ACC takeover. He further added that the group will continue to expand the cement business capacity as planned.
I respect the Adani Group. I think that their execution skills are great. We continue with our plans as usual. Since then, we've announced a capacity expansion of 22 million tons. And, you know, our plans remain unchanged. When you have a new player in the industry, I'd like to think that they wouldn't want to be unnecessarily disruptive. They made a very large investment. So it's a very interesting space. My son actually is spearheading that. You know, you have a lot of brands that now don't sell through physical stores. They're selling only
everything has gone online.
And they're doing well. So the idea is to come in as an investor, invest with them, and help them grow.
And well, you can catch that entire conversation with Kumar Mangalam Birla, chairman of the Aditya Birla Group, at 7 p.m. tonight, right here on CNBC TV 18. Well, with that, it's time now to head into a very small break. But on the other side, LinkedIn CEO Ryan Roslansky says that they are on course to touch 100 million subscribers in India, says that they have no layoff plans, but were freezing hiring across some departments.